Welcome, everybody. We start today with a Trump voter who has been fired by Donald Trump and Elon Musk's DOGE. And it's really a cautionary tale about when the theoretical becomes reality. We talked a couple of weeks ago about a man who voted for Trump and then his wife was deported. And then when his wife was deported, he said, I didn't think they were going to come for us, for the people who supported him. And of course, the theoretical becomes very real when all of a sudden the ICE officers are in your house, proverbially or literally in that particular case. We now have learned about Ryleigh Cooper, who CNN interviewed. We tried to find contact information for Ryleigh. I would love to talk to her. We were not able to do it. Ryleigh explained, I voted for Trump, meaning I voted for Trump to select Elon, which meant Elon got to do DOGE, and then DOGE fired me. Let's take a listen, and truly a cautionary tale.
Ryleigh Cooper joins me now. Ryleigh, welcome. Thank you for sharing your story. And I wonder, what was it like for you when you got the news that you were being let go?
It was really hard. I was on the phone with my best friend, Kaylee, at the time, and we were just discussing her life and how things were going. And I looked at my phone and I had gotten a text from our union rep, and he told me that I was going to be fired the next day. And I told her, I have to go. I'm getting fired tomorrow. And my heart just sank.
I'm so sorry this is happening and the frustration you must be feeling and perhaps anxiety about what's next. And of course, we're hearing a lot about following the campaign and the elections about the mandate that people wanted to see a streamlined government, that they want to be able to right size it in some way and rid of waste and fraud. That was not the motivating reason you were voting for President Trump. Does that impact the way you see any of this?
Yeah, it's hard from my perspective to approach the current administration with hope.
An administration she voted for, remember.
I've been dealing with infertility now for about a year. I've had multiple surgeries in my life. So, going into the voting booth, the main thing on my mind was the same thing I'd been thinking about for the past 11 months. And it was, I want to be a mom. And women who have gone through that experience, that heartbreaking feeling of wanting something that you might never have, they understand how much of your time is taken up with those thoughts.
Now, many of you might be saying, wait a second. Your main thing, and this is not to criticize Ryleigh, right? I mean, I'm very empathetic to Riley's situation, but we also have to be realistic about how do we actually start winning some elections here? How could it be? Because I know I'm aware, and I know most of my audience is aware, if your main thing is I want to be a mom, infertility, IVF, women's bodily autonomy, certainly someone like Ryleigh, I imagine, could appreciate that in figuring out how to get to her goal of being a mom, that's a conversation for her, her doctors, and her family. How do you end up voting for a guy who wants to impose so much of his and his party's will and opinions on what should be happening behind the closed doors of medical offices? How do you end up even voting for Trump in the first place? Well, let's see if she can explain it.
And how overwhelming and lonely it can feel. So as someone who is more of a swing voter, sometimes that's what it comes down to, is those single issues. Because when you step into the voting booth, you're thinking of what's important to you and like the issues that are resonating with you in that moment. And for me in that moment, like it took me a while, and I made a decision that looking back, I'm not proud of, but it's the reality of my situation now.
Ryleigh, do you now regret the way you voted for Trump?
I do feel regret, and I've had a lot of tumultuous thoughts about that day in the election booth. You know, when you're voting on something that affects you so personally, you know, it's really easy to get tunnel vision, especially in a voting booth when you're staring at, you have two options, right? I mean, it's not like you're given an endless amount of options to achieve your goals. And so afterwards, when I thought maybe this is my chance, you know, I also had to come to terms with the fact that I was likely going to be a part of, you know, taking chances away from other groups of people, and that's never sat well with me.
I understand, sadly, you have been getting a lot of hate mail, a lot of negative reaction for even speaking your mind about how you feel since being fired. Can you describe some of that?
People online get very brave. You know, they can very easily say terrible things to you that they would never in a million years say to anyone's face.
Isn't that the truth?
I've had people tell me that, you know, they hope that I never have a child and that I got exactly what I deserve. And as much as all of the terrible comments have been coming through, I've also received an immense amount of support, especially from women who have gone through IVF, who struggle with infertility. It's unfortunately a large group of us out there who deal with this. And I hope that more light comes to the issue of infertility. It's a terrible, lonely process. And I'm really glad that some people have reached out with, you know, understanding.
You know, this is the end of the interview. There's 5 seconds left. So much of this makes sense to me. And what I mean by that is Ryleigh was a swing voter, and it doesn't sound like her vote for Trump was a super strong vote in the sense that she was kind of back and forth. That I don't understand, given that the candidates were so different, but I'm not getting the impression that this is a sort of MAGA nut job. She made a decision based, I guess, on the issue that was most important to her, which she says are these issues of fertility and reproductive rights. What I don't understand is if that's your issue, how on earth was it a question whether you would vote for Harris or Trump? Now, I know that Trump nominally said, I'm going to be the best on fertilization, which had this ick factor that can barely be put into words. Trump said that, but any relatively informed individual would know that on that issue, Trump's not the guy for you. The Republican Party of 2024, now 2025, these are not the people for you. And I've talked before about how prior to my daughter's birth, we had some unexplained infertility that fortunately in our situation never led to any of the IVF or IUI or any of these things. But had it, there would be no question in my mind who is going to protect our ability to just decide what's best medically without the involvement of someone like Trump or someone equally creepy. There would be no doubt in my mind that if I was concerned about maintaining access to those sorts of things, Trump's the wrong guy. So for me, the most stunning part of this is the informational gap, where she knows what's most important to her. She's not a MAGA nut. She has now reacted to what she acknowledges was the wrong decision as far as voting. But how, as someone who Ryleigh seems to have been paying attention, how do you go into the voting booth saying, given that this is my most important issue, I'm not totally clear on who I should be voting for? That's something that I don't have the answer to here. But if Democrats don't figure it out, they may never win again. And so we need to figure out what that answer is. Totally empathetic with Ryleigh's situation, and she's welcome anytime on this show. And I would love to ask her these questions. A while back, I used to have this giant leather brick of a wallet in my back pocket, and I would feel it when I would sit down. I would be off kilter. And one day I said, enough. I need something slim and light and minimal. So I got a Ridge wallet, and I've been using it and loving it for years now. Before they became a sponsor, I was already using a Ridge wallet. I love the design. It's narrow. It holds up to 12 cards plus my cash. And Ridge wallets are made with premium materials, aluminum, titanium, carbon fiber, more than 50 colors and styles with RFID blocking technology for extra peace of mind. Ridge products have a lifetime warranty. You literally get the last wallet you'll ever have to buy, and they guarantee it for life. And with a 99-day risk-free trial, if you change your mind, it's no big deal. Ridge isn't just about wallets. They've also created premium everyday convenience essentials, key cases, suitcases, rings, all built with the same sleek, durable design. And right now, Ridge is having their once-a-year anniversary sale. Get up to 40% off at ridge.com/Pacman. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about Ridge. Please show your support. Tell them I sent you. That's ridge.com/Pacman for up to 40% off. The link is in the description.